I'm going to show you how I lost $27,000 in 60 seconds and how you can avoid making this mistake. If you look at this chart right here, you notice one very glaring thing, and it's that there is a long wick right here on this first candle. That is the 9:30 a.m. candle. So that's the first 15 minutes of the day. And what this basically means is that this stock price ran up really high and it went all the way from about $131.50 to about $137.50 in a 15-minute period. This probably happened within a 2-minute period if you really broke it down. And it pulled all the way back down. In that time period, you can make a lot of money. In that time period, you could also lose a ton of money, and that's what I did. Now, how did that happen? And when did this happen? This happened very, very early in my career. I was just starting out day trading, and I didn't realize the importance of one thing. I thought it was overblown. I thought it would never happen to me, and that was using stops. I did not have stops in place. So I entered a trade, it ran up really high, everything looked really good, but this happened so fast. And this is one stock that I frequently traded. It's LABU. It is a 3-time levered ETF of the S&P 500, and it focuses on biotech. So not only is biotech a volatile area in and of itself, but this is 3-time levered, means that it moves 3 times the market. So if the market does 1, this is going to move 3. It's great for making money. It's also great for losing money if you don't follow rules that I put in place. So what happened after that? Well, after I exited the trade at a ridiculous loss at the time, I laid face down on the floor and I said to myself, I can't do this anymore as a career. And I got over that within about 5 minutes, and I got back up and I just went through the trade again and I studied it and I said, okay, what went wrong here? Well, I knew the obvious one. I didn't use stops. So now I needed to figure out, okay, how do I not make that mistake again? It is okay to make mistakes in trading. It's going to happen to everybody. But what you need to do is dust yourself off, get back up, and not make that mistake again. And since then, this was about 2014, 2015, when I was really day trading all the time. I have not made this mistake. I haven't even come close to making this mistake, and I'm trading with a lot more money now than I was back then. So coming back to the chart, now look at this, guys. Typically what you'll see, and this is why I always trade the same stocks over and over, especially when I'm day trading. I basically trade one stock, 2 because I'm trading an inverse ETF. So this is an inverse. So as this one goes up, there's another stock that goes down, and it's LABD. So LABU is the inverse of LABD and vice versa. And what I really learned about this is the behavior that happens with it. So LABU shoots up in the morning and then it just kind of stabilizes through the rest of the day. And if we scroll out here and we notice what happens each morning, well, this is the next morning. It flies all the way down, okay? Let's go to the next morning. You notice it spikes up and then the day continues. The next morning, it comes all the way down. So what are you noticing about this? Every single day, it kind of does the same behavior. It spikes one way or the other, and then it stabilizes and it has a little bit of run in the afternoon. That is why I like trading the same stocks over and over. And what helped me put in stops in place is I realized, okay, when this jumps up, it usually jumps up about, 2, 3, 4%. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a trailing stop on it. If I enter somewhere about halfway into the candle, I'll call it that I entered right here, and you start making money and you're very happy. Eventually, it's going to get to this point up here, and it's going to pull back down. And where it's going to stop when it pulls back down, nobody really knows. But what I would do is I would go in there and put in like a 3% stop or a 4% trailing stop. And what is the purpose of that? No matter how high the stock price gets right here, it's going to automatically put in there 3, 4, whatever percent off of the high. So if I buy here at, call it $133, and this thing runs all the way up to $150, and it pulls back 2% off of 150, it's going to execute the sale for me. So not only am I not going to lose money, but I'm also not going to lose all of my profits. Now, let's say that you buy something, and this is hypothetical. You buy something here at 133, we said. And then it just starts to fall back immediately and you lose 2%. It's going to sell at 2% if you have a 2% trailing stop. So the real moral of the story here is you need to be comfortable and understand that stops are very, very, very important. Because this is where people say, they look at this stock price and they say, this thing is just going up, and what it's going to do the rest of the day, well, I already know this. It's just going to keep going up because it has such great momentum. So it's just going to keep going higher and higher and higher. Well, that's not often the case that happens. Contrary to popular belief, stocks don't only go up. They actually do pull back, and they can pull back very violently. And that's where new traders can lose a lot of money. All they look at is the price action that's happening in that moment. They don't look at the history of saying, oh man, this thing violently pulls back on me, and that's where I can lose a lot of money. And they don't learn from it. Then they go to the second day. Say they do that on a Monday. They go to Tuesday and they try the same thing again. And they say, every time I buy a stock, I end up losing money on it. Well, there's a lot more that goes into it than that, but there's a way to prevent that at the same point. So look at this and say, I am going to be able to buy something here. It might pull back on me and the charge will continue on. And that's going to happen. You're going to love these days because you're going to be making a lot of money and you don't have to exit at any point. But at any point during that day, if you have your trailing stop on, your sale could execute here, your sale could execute here, your sale could execute at any one of these. The other interesting thing about this is that you could actually buy something, let it run, and kind of set it and forget it. If you want to just get into a great trade and let it go, this thing could go all afternoon. It could go one candle. As soon as you get that 2% pullback, if that's your trailing stop number, the sale will execute and you move on. So as a beginner, please make sure that you put stops in place, especially when you're day trading. If you guys want more from me, join my Patreon. It's $25 right now, and there's only 100 spots that are available. You're going to get access to me and other traders in the chat, plus my private weekly live streams. So here's the missing piece to how I made $365,000 in one day. Click this video right here and go find out how.